What's up, guys? I'm gonna do my first operating session, at least the first one that I record. Ignore all the cars in the back. These are just cars that I'm storing there, along with all those. But all the cars in the yard right now have a use. These five just came from Enola, as you can see down here. They're destined for Tyrone and Altoona. These four in front are destined for Enola, so when a train comes down from Pitcairn, it'll drop off some cars and it'll pick up these four. These 9 cars are from the paper mill. Those 2 are Philly, that one's Chicago. So if you look now, here is the paper mill train, and this train will not move, obviously, since it's headed for Enola. Some of these cars will move. The entire paper mill train is going to get broken down. I already took the liberty of taking the caboose off and putting it back there, just because this is going to be a long video to begin with, and it'll just take a long time to get all that done. As you can see, I have 2 coal cars with coal loads, and it's just really, there shouldn't be coal loads. These are empty right now, but it's just too hard to get the coal load out because I don't want to damage the car because they fit really tight. So I'm going to need to glue a nut underneath so I can have a magnet on top and just pull them out much easier. So for now, let's just pretend those are empty. First thing I'm going to do is start up my diesel. I'm using an F7 just because I need an engine with a sound decoder, so when I'm looking at car cards, I know where my engine is since I won't be looking at the layout. Now this end, what we're going to do, we're going to start up the steamer, the 9627. It's a 282. I really need some 280s for switching. And as you can see down here, I have 2 covered hoppers destined for Enola. That looks reddish on my camera, but this is orange. These are both Enola. So they'll come up here. So first thing I'm going to do is take these 2 off and put them up here with the steamer. And I'm going to uncouple them away from the camera so that you don't see me picking them up. And we are ready to go. I'm going to run them a little faster just so that this video doesn't take 20 minutes to do. And I don't know why that did that there. I haven't really had issues there yet, but that's why it's always good to have an operating session. Even if you don't have your layout done, you'll figure out a lot of problems you have with the layout. More problems than you may have ever had, just like me. I've never had an issue there, and sure enough, when I finally make a video, I have an issue. So we're going to give this a little more speed so it doesn't do that again, hopefully. So this will give us 6 cars headed to Enola, which is about what we want. I don't do any more than 6 pickups usually, maybe 7, but in this case, they're all 50-foot cars. The covered hoppers are 53-footers. So that's good. And what we're going to do with this coal car for now, as it rattles. For now, I think I'll just leave the coal car attached to the steam engine back there, because in real life I would, well, once I have the layout done, the coal cars would get ran up to Crescent Coal with a Crescent local, which, man, that's noisy, which I don't have one set up right now, so it'll just sit there for a bit until I figure out what track I want to put it on. So I move the car cards to where they need to be. I got the coal car. I'm just going to pull this back here. So now, as you can see, I have a train for Pitcairn, another train for Pittsburgh, and that coal car. So I'm going to drop, and here's wood chips for the depot. So I can move, actually I can move everything in one fell swoop, because I also have the boxcar headed to Philly, and then this headed to Chicago up there. I'm going to combine Chicago and Pittsburgh in this train just because usually I would, but sometimes I have so many cars headed for one area, I don't. So the reason why I'm going to combine Pittsburgh and Chicago into the same siding is because if I put Pittsburgh first, the drop-offs in Pittsburgh will happen first, and then obviously the drop-offs in Chicago happen next, even though I don't have Chicago or Pittsburgh. All I have is a staging yard for Pittsburgh. It's actually called Pitcairn, but I think Pittsburgh is a little easier for people to remember. We're just going to throw this ground throw, go past the tower, hook up to our train, and we're going to start dropping cars. First car we're going to drop, the first car we're going to move is a hopper. And this one, ironically, is empty, even though it should be full. So this hopper here at the end is supposed to be carrying, limestone. It's supposed to be carrying limestone to go to the steel mill in Pittsburgh, but I don't have any limestone loads yet. So for now, it's just going to sit there empty. Actually, what I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to drop this off on track 3. We're just going to throw this ground throw. And we're going to reverse. Give it a little speed. And I'm going to try and get down here so you can kind of see the whole yard as the train comes in. However, I don't need to be this far back because I'm only dropping the car off there. I do have these little swizzle sticks to uncouple the cars. Problem is, not all these cars have great couplers. That one worked just fine, but some of them, I just feel like I'm going to damage the coupler pocket if I'm not careful. So now we're dropping off the wood chip car at track 1 so it can go to the depot. And I'm going to try and do this while keeping the camera on the train, because the whole point of this is to have an operating session, not a look at car cards session. Or not a watch me move car cards session, I should say. These wood chip cars, as you can see, this focuses. It won't really focus well. These are PRR wood chip cars. I got them at a train show a couple years ago, and I've been looking for something like this for years, and I've never found anything again, so I lucked out on that. Now this next coal car, I'm probably just going to run right to the end, as I do my moves a little bit ahead of how I say them. And as you can see, I got a little dip in the track. Hopefully the video quality is good. I mean, I'm holding my camera with my phone because I did not put that on correctly. There we go. Just because I don't have any stand or anything I can put it on. So hopefully the video quality is good. So I'm going to run this coal car down to the end to the other steam engine on this open track, which is a bit of a long run, but that's okay. And because of that, and because they don't line up, I have to move the steam engine back a bit. So what I'm going to do is at some point I will be moving everything, including the coal cars and including the Enola cars, but I won't do that in this video. I probably shouldn't be yakking this much because this is really just a video to watch, but I figured I'd explain what I'm doing instead of just having a video where I randomly move cars, because part of the fun of doing yard operations is knowing where each car is going and knowing how it works and all that. So I dropped off that car. So now while I'm running this diesel up, I will have the steam engine pick up that coal car. And now we can look down here. This hopper is now down at this end. And now I got to drop off this box car here, so I'm going to move that ahead of time. And we're just going to attach to this coal car and stop for now there. So this box car, 45747, has to go on track 3 with the hopper carrying limestone in order to continue to be a part of a train headed for Pitcairn. I'm going to try and get better shots of this. Let's see if this works. Whoa! Yeah, you saw my socks. Now we're going to pick up my phone again. We're going to attempt to do the same thing with this swizzle stick to uncouple it. And I'm guessing this one, that one worked too. Uncouplers are actually working better than I anticipated today. So now we got boxcar 73110, and if you look on the map, on the board, that is headed for Philly, so that's just going to move up to track 6, and this boxcar is headed to Chicago, so that's track 7. So these last two are just going to go on that last bracket right there. Let me flip this. First one goes here on track 6 because it's eastbound. And whoop! Forgot to throw this ground throw correctly. So this stuff is headed to Philly, so it'll be its own train. It'll be picked up by another train coming from Enola, because otherwise it would be 9 cars going, or not another train from Enola, another train going to Enola. So right now I have 6 cars headed for Enola and 3 headed for Philly, and that would be 9 cars picked up on one train, so that's why I have them split up. But if there's less cars, the way there is in Pitcairn, I will combine Pitcairn and Chicago. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these 2 cars destined for Chicago, and since Pittsburgh comes before Chicago, these 2, I'm going to move to track 4 because I want to put the Tyrone paper mill stuff on track 6. So these 2 are going to come up here, and they're going to go on this track. A little wide. Throw ground through. So what I'm going to do next is once I uncouple these, I'm going to go get the 2 cars destined for Pittsburgh and attach them to the front, because since this is westbound, the train will be going up the curve, and that will be Pitcairn being first, well, Pittsburgh being the first drop off, and Chicago being the second. So that's why I'm reordering them and combining them. The staging yard in Pittsburgh will actually be Pit Karn, but I keep calling it Pittsburgh just because it might be easier for people to remember. And they also have it color-coded as such, so all the cars destined for Pittsburgh/Pit Karn are gold on the load. So on my car cards, each load is color-coded based on its destination. And some of the cars when they're empty, some of the car cards when they're empty are also color-coded, like the hoppers. They're color-coded, they will be color-coded green, which is Crescent, because they'll go back to the Crescent coal mine. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking those two and putting them with the two Chicago ones. So while I do that, I'll come down here. They're on track 5, so we're going to take these two and we're going to move them to track 5 because we just did that, and now we're moving these two here. So as you can see, Pit Karn cars get dropped off first, and then the Chicago ones. I got to bring that train back because he got away from me. So now, if you're doing the math, track 2, which is bound for Enola, is done. Track 5, which is westbound to Pittsburgh, is also finished once I connect these two cars. Track 6, which is eastbound to Philadelphia, is also finished. So all these cars are sorted except track number 4. So you'll see what I'm going to do here in a second. I'm going to bring my diesel up. I'm going to go to track 4, pick up the boxcar and the tank cars. The tank cars will get dropped off in track 6 because they are eastbound, but the way my paper mill works is things like tank cars, I usually have 4 that I bring in at once. They'll just sit in the Altoona yard until they're needed in Tyrone. So track 6 is more of a storage track than anything, but it doesn't really have to be. And that's just how it is right now. Since I don't have the upper level done, I don't have Crescent done, I don't have any cars sitting here that are bound for Crescent. And when I do, it's going to fill up the yard even more. So I might move the cabooses so that I have a 7th yard track. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do or how I want to do that just yet. So here's the tank cars and the box car. Tank cars are getting dropped off on track 6. See if I can get a good video of it. I'll go a little faster because this video is starting to drag. The other thing I don't have done and haven't finished yet because I'm not entirely sure how I want to do it is the Altoona pipe and steel. And when I get that done, that'll open things up even more, and there'll be even more traffic because when that's done, I have gondolas that have to go there. So now I have virtually everything done, and while the F7's bringing that boxcar up, he's going to drop it off here because, as you can see, these cars need to move. The ones with red, they need to go to the depot, which is on track 1. So let me try and move all these at the same time. So this will go here, track 1. The hoppers, which are westbound, are going to go on track 3 for now. And we'll just pretend there's a local headed to Crescent, even though like I said, I don't have anything set up to run Crescent. But by putting the coal cars on track 3. It simulates cars going to Crescent. So I got two engines running right now. Get the F7 out of the way. Just gonna run it real fast. There we go. So we're almost done with this video, and then I'll do a quick look at the yard. Got to drop these off on track number 3. Try and get a trackside view of it. I gotta uncouple these. Whoop. And as you can see, part of my yard rolls a bit. It's not too bad. And most of the time they roll to the middle. My steam engine doesn't want to... Alright, there we go. Not make the same mistake twice, so I'll give this guy some speed so he can get through this switch. It doesn't seem to have enough power. So now what he's going to do is he's just going to run to the west end of the yard, which is the right side, a little backwards, but he's going to run to the west end of the yard, push these cars up to the depot, and that'll be it for this session. Let me do this. Give him a little more gas, a little more steam, I should say, the coal. As always, can't think. Of course, always forget something. I forgot to throw the switch. Always forgetting something. Like how I said I gotta give the steam engine more gas. That really doesn't make any sense. What I'm going to do now so that I can talk, I'm going to power these guys down. So as you can see, these two cars are at the depot getting unloaded. Got the F7 there, the steam engine there. Got this big yard ladder. We have 6 cars now on track 2, destined for Enola. 2 hoppers on track 3, destined for Crescent. 4 cars on track 5, destined for Pittsburgh and Chicago. 3 cars on track 6, destined for Philly. And then 4 tank cars on track 7, destined for Tyrone. I think I said they were going on track 6. It's the 6th yard track of the bracket, but it's the 7th track overall because you got to count this one. But anyways, that was this episode of operations. I got to find a stand or something so it's easier to do, but I figured I'd give you guys something to watch. And then I should have another layout update at some point as well, because I am starting to get more done on the curve and I do have more track now. But this is the final shot of this episode.